Folks, the White House just presented a new counteroffer to Republican lawmakers in Congress on the new massive infrastructure and jobs package. Some states are passing a new bill that will allow residents receiving Social Security income to pay less in taxes. And some states are also passing a new bill that will allow residents receiving Social Security income to pay less in taxes. Everybody, if you guys support a fourth stimulus bill and an increase in your Social Security benefits, then let's get this video to 1,000 likes. I just hope that our politicians in Congress, both parties, the Democrats and Republicans, send out a fourth stimulus bill and help out the American people that need help now. And if you guys agree with me, then leave a comment down below saying I agree.
Ability to get people back to work. I heard you talking about that. You're absolutely right. A couple weeks ago, I spent the whole week at home talking to business people. Two big problems. Number one, can't get people back to work.
This Friday, the Biden administration presented a counteroffer to GOP lawmakers on their infrastructure and jobs package that reduced the size of the proposal from $2.25 trillion to $1.7 trillion. The new offer is a decrease of $550 billion on top of the state line, but it still leaves the two sides far apart as the window for a potential deal comes close to closing. According to CNN, the infrastructure proposal lays out 4 areas the White House views as concessions to Republicans, who have put a $568 billion proposal on the table. The White House offer includes matching what Republican senators have proposed as the spending level for broadband, $65 billion, and reducing proposed spending levels on roads, bridges, and major projects by $39 billion. It also takes spending on manufacturing, research and development, and supply chain out of talks. In the state of Nebraska, residents now receiving Social Security income will pay less in taxes on that income each year until it's fully exempt in 2030. That's under a bill that recently won final approval from lawmakers. The bill will reduce the taxes paid on Social Security income by 5% this year, 20% next year, and 30% in 2023. The exemption will continue to grow until it hits 100% in 2030. Supporters argue that the bill would help ease the tax burden on seniors.
Our electric vehicle charging stations. It would build 100% broadband access for everybody in the country, even in the most rural areas. It would shore up our ridiculously fragile electric grid and our transmission lines for electricity. It would put tons of people to work doing things like replacing lead pipes in everybody's water systems and cleaning up abandoned oil wells and gas wells and mines.
And millions of Americans rely on Social Security to pay their living expenses during their senior years. But there's a big problem. In the coming years, however, Social Security is expected to owe more money in benefits than it collects in revenue. But the good news is that it's certainly not too late for lawmakers to step in and implement changes that can prevent Social Security benefit cuts. But the longer the lawmakers wait to take action, the more drastic those rescue measures have to be. President Biden, for example, has already proposed reinstating Social Security taxes on workers once their wages exceed $400,000. Right now, those taxes only apply to wages of up to $142,000. But lawmakers, in trying to save Social Security, may seek to impose extra Social Security taxes at a lower earnings threshold or increase the Social Security tax rate on wages so that even lower earners lose a larger chunk of their income to payroll taxes. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Until next time, have a great day and be sure to stay safe.
Republicans voted no and took the dough because they went back to their districts and people were like, oh, this is really great. I got money in my pocket. I got a shot in my arm. My kids are going back to school. I got my child tax credit. And all of a sudden, Republicans were like, oh, I can't tell my constituents I voted no on this. So they started claiming credit for it. And so I think it's really important to distinguish between what Republicans across the country want and what Republicans in Congress are willing to do.
Realistically speaking, given all that you just said and what you understand about how the process is going to go from here on out, what's your best guess as to when this passes?
Well, I think there's a very good possibility that we take up the budget resolution in the House in June, and then we try to pass it by July 4th. The Speaker had said before that that's what she wanted to do, and then the Senate is able to do the same probably in the month of July, and then the whole thing comes together and we vote it out before the August recess. So that is really the timing that we need. This is urgent. And again, you know, when I look at what people are telling us across the country, they're saying, we like a bold, ambitious plan. And guess what? It gets even more popular if you put in the fact as the president has said, that we're going to tax the biggest corporations.
That retirement, Americans retiring, wealthy Americans, well-to-do Americans, would have about a 65% tax rate under the Biden plan. That's where the estate tax would lead. 65%, Mitch. I mean, that's a big number. That's really an unheard of number. And I guess every time you say there's a red line under the 2017 tax cuts, I applaud and cheer. I just hope that we are able to hold the line. That's really what I'm asking you.
Yeah. Well, there won't be a single Republican vote for that. And by the way, it's not just the wealthy. If you tax the inside buildup on a lifetime, just say your house or your farm came into your possession at age 20, and when you pass away 40 years later, they want to tax the inside buildup on that at a new capital gains tax rate that's even higher. This is going to hit people of all income levels, people who work for a lifetime in order to pass on what they've earned to the next generation. This will slow the economy down to a crawl, and I think our chances of stopping it, to get back to your question, are pretty good. They'd have to get every single Democrat to buy off on this. In the Senate, they'd have no margin for error. They'd have to get all 50 Democrats, it's 50 Republicans, 50 Democrats, and the vice president in the chair to hit America with a whopping tax increase. They may be able to pull it off, but I think it's going to be really hard, and we're going to fight them the whole way if that's what they have in mind.
I mean, I know it's hard to predict, and I know you're the best of the best at all this on the floor of the Senate. You really are, and you were so instrumental in the 2017 tax cut as well as many other things, sir. I just, do you think it's going to come down to a 51-vote reconciliation? No real compromise, no real bipartisanship, but all the social spending and the taxing and the Green New Deal will come down to one gigantic reconciliation package?
If they're willing to settle for a targeted infrastructure bill without revisiting the 2017 tax bill, we'll work with them. But if they want a $2 to $4 trillion package, it's not going to have any Republican support. And that means, Larry, that they'd have to get absolutely everybody in line. They did it. They did it on the so-called rescue package. I think this will be a lot harder. There are Democrats in rural areas who don't want their family farms confiscated by the federal government on the day you pass away. I think there'll be considerable resistance.
All right. I know your time is short, Senator, and I appreciate it very much. I just want one last question. Apparently, Senator Bernie Sanders, is putting up or intends to put up a resolution that would, not the force of law,